Mario Kart World released on June 5th alongside the insanely anticipated and almost unattainable Switch 2. I would know, I had to sell my soul for it. People, including me, obviously had a problem with the $80 price tag the game flaunted, making it almost necessary to just buy the bundle. Despite price concerns, many have expressed their love for the game and it seemed like everything was perfect, until it wasn't. Hey, it's Gotta Plays Games, aka MPG. I know I'm late to the party. Like I said, getting the Switch 2 after launch day was like finding a stray of hay in a needle stack. Actually, that's probably a less painful process. Anyway, Mario Kart World is a game with a lot of highs, so many that the flaws it has might seem insignificant until you play the game for yourself. No matter how fun or polished, the game is just like any other. It comes with good things and bad things. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the good. There's a lot of it in this game. First off, MK World feels so good to control. The game feels so fluid and easy to control that playing it right after 8 is a little bit jarring. Players get to have a lot of control over their movement, like dancing around in a car or tricking as much as you want. Actually, maybe there is a better way to phrase that. A lot of racing games feel rigid or like you have very limited amounts of control over your character. MK World never really feels that way. It actually caught me very off guard when I played it for the first time. It's so easy to play the game online and see just how many people play the game in their own way. It's interesting that despite racing on the same track, every single racer is playing quite differently. It's a true breath of fresh air to see the many ways in which some players may perceive a track and how they go about traversing it. I got the Switch 2 only because I wanted to play the game without having to rely on my boyfriend's console, you know, the guy who got it day one. You can imagine that when I played it, it sadly only made me want to Switch 2.
No! No! No!
There's also surprisingly a learning curve and a lot of things to consider in a race. It's not something I usually had to worry about when playing the previous Mario Kart titles. Taking massive, tricky shortcuts has never felt so euphoric before. Practicing faster routes and pathways is a lot more engaging in this game than it looks. Taking a shortcut via a rail or wall makes me feel so badass. Never thought I'd say that in regards to Mario Kart. I've never found a racing game so interesting before. Maybe except for when I played Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing as a kid. I just haven't had this much fun with Mario Kart in a very long time, possibly ever. The new Knockout Tour mode they added was one of the best decisions ever. It makes the game so frustrating and chaotic that now, losing feels a lot like dying. Again, I don't think I've ever put that much effort into a racing game before. Of course, it can feel a bit boring traveling to the same places over and over again, but it's still super fun somehow. The game is unique, not just with the added mode, but the concept of traveling between levels and things being super interconnected. It's great, and I felt like a kid in a candy store when I first found out this was the case, but it could be a downside. More on that later though. Moving on, MK World is absolutely massive. I mean, there's a lot to do if you're like me and like aimlessly wandering around. The game is so full of life, it had way more effort put into it than I originally thought. I just can't even begin to imagine just how long it took to design the world and the many things that come with it. You have NPCs walking routes, a better transit system than the non-existent one in the US, and P-switches. I personally love being able to be rewarded after exploring the very wide world the game has to offer. The P-switches offer some really fun challenges. Maybe they're not all that difficult, but I like them a lot. And oh, can I just take a minute to rant about how gorgeous this game is? Each track has something to offer aesthetically, artistically, other illies, you get the point. Some tracks like Blue Cinema and Rainbow Road are breathtaking. It makes me wish I could actually visit them in real life. The tracks don't usually feel too confusing or weird to travel on, unlike some of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC tracks. It makes it a lot easier to just relax and take in the scenery, you know? And I like how many skins there are for certain characters, especially the girls. It just makes it so much easier for players to be expressive, get more out of exploring, and mess around with the outfits even if the UI is a mess. This game is also so adorable. Oh my gosh, let me talk about that too. I'm the biggest sucker for cute things, which may or may not be why I have a spending problem. The giant roster of characters being added to MK World gave me a new appreciation for certain characters I overlooked before, especially Swoop. I love Swoop. He's just so cute. Having to do specific things to unlock characters is also a treat, though it makes it a bit hard to unlock them sometimes. Oh, and the music is top notch. Picking songs to use in this video was the hardest thing ever because they're all so good.
Go, go, go! Ah!
It really makes you realize that this is the culmination of 40 years of mind-blowing OSTs. Makes me kinda sad sometimes, the fact that I'm getting older, but the bumping overpowers the existential crisis. MK World is also funny as hell sometimes. Usually when I'm playing a game that can get competitive, ain't shit funny, but this had me laughing out loud all the time.
to get out of here!
It's so easy to be a menace online. It's like you could feel the players seething behind the screen. That is like the best feeling ever. This game also offers new firsts. Gotta admit, I'd never gotten dead last in Mario Kart until I played Mario Kart World. It totally humbled me. I've never been this angry either though, so it's a double-edged sword. The picture mode also makes it so much easier to grab thumbnail backgrounds. It's like a godsend for YouTubers and people who like certain Mario characters a lot. So yeah, there's a lot that's good about this game. Traveling between stages, being able to free roam, a giant roster of sometimes ridiculous characters? Sign me up! Even so, it's not worth $80, but I'm sure I can squeeze all the enjoyment I can out of it. I guess if any racing game deserved to charge $80, it'd be this one. Only downside is this game is probably never going to go on sale, so your best bet is to still buy the bundle.
What?! We're flying to Philadelphia! Oh, hell no! That's hell no!
Despite all the good things I mentioned, no game is without its flaws. MK Road has some glaring issues, and well, let's move on to that. Like I said, the bad things about this game aren't enough to make it awful, but it's enough to warrant criticism. To start, obviously people are annoyed about the new update. All the previous Mario Kart games had a certain formula. Players get to experience multiple laps of the same track before the race ends and moves on to the next one. This made it easier to not only get accustomed to any unfamiliar tracks, but appreciate the stages for what they were. MK Road offers a new formula, which is fine. Players being able to travel from track to track is great and a neat idea, but the problem is that it isn't a choice, among other things. The game's new update forces players to play the new formula even though it's completely different from what they've seen before. Instead of the random button choosing any track from the roster of tracks, it usually picks an intermission track when people were choosing the question mark, so that wouldn't happen. Not everyone likes intermission tracks and wants to see them 24/7. Now, the only way to consistently play 3 laps is to play offline or in custom, which can be boring. Assuming you want a whole crew of real people to play with, this may not be possible for some players. Playing online is about expressing oneself and seeing others do it as well. There's almost no point in playing offline unless you prefer it, or practicing, or want to experience the previous formula. MK Road is meant to embrace player expression and enable players to have their own way of driving as they go throughout the game. Even so, intermission tracks basically prevent you from being expressive or unique by forcing you to play a specific way. For example, having to drive in a straight line instead of getting to experience the game the intended way, aka tricking and taking fun shortcuts. This prevents the player from fully experiencing what the track has to offer. I mentioned the shortcuts and rails before and how unique it made the game. None of that is really possible if you're just driving in a straight line, especially during a knockout tour. Driving in a straight line is not only boring and dulls player expression, but it's also dangerous and could cause you to lose if you don't have good items. Certain tracks are over way too quick. It's like, how am I supposed to learn the track if I only spend a moment or two with them? Learning stuff on the fly and applying this newfound info to the next couple of laps is what made the game so much fun. Mario Kart 8 may feel a bit boring to play after experiencing its successor, but I enjoyed the formula more. I liked playing multiple laps of the same track. It felt easier to get a handle of how a track worked and the things I could do to improve. To put it bluntly, MK Road is extremely polished, but instead of embracing Mario Kart's history, it chooses to relegate it to an afterthought. I understand MK Road is supposed to be the future. Even so, you've basically groomed players of the previous Mario Kart games to enjoy experiencing the game a particular way, and kinda ripped it away. Why basically erase something that was perfectly fine before in order to make way for a new formula when you didn't have to do that? The new decision they made is obviously not appealing to everyone, hence the backlash. The Heart Rally is an example of a good tour/intermissions, traveling into Airship Fortress specifically. It's pretty fun and distinct, but again, this isn't always the case. The intermission into Peach Stadium is extremely bad because of this. There's barely any way to engage with the track or other players, especially during Knockout Tour. No shortcuts, no way to get ahead, and almost an inevitable loss. Like I said before, if you don't get good items during the intermission, the game is basically over for you. The best way to fix it is to add a separate queue for single tracks and intermission so that players can choose how they want to experience the game. There's no downside to this other than queue times varying, but you rarely see full lobbies in worldwide races anyway, so there's nothing to miss. I'm honestly surprised they haven't done that already. Onto the nitpicks though. I honestly hate how some of the items have been changed. The boomerang is better to use due to its slightly homing in on players, but it's stuck in your inventory slot for longer. It can be annoying to get stuck with it because it might cause you to miss out on a better item. There's also the problem with getting stuck with the boomerang when you're nowhere near people. If you're in a crowd, it's great, but if not, it's pretty meh. Lightning is now super annoying, and getting hit with it right after getting good items makes me rage out like a coked up monkey. It only hits those in front of the lightning user, which is great, but not being able to have items makes gameplay that much more boring. Bullet Bill got nerfed, which isn't too much of an issue, except it kinda sucks now. Bullet bills take extremely wide turns, are slower, and hate going even slightly off track, so it's only good to have if you're going in a straight line. Now, if you use it, you're most likely not going to be getting anywhere fast, and it might bump you up a place or two. Now that the Mega Mushroom is back, the bullet bill is kinda unneeded. And remember earlier in my video when I mentioned the smart steering automatically being on? Yeah, that genuinely ruined some of the cool clips I captured and didn't even realize it's on until I'm near a wall. And when you're playing with another person, if you're player 2, it also automatically turns on. It's not the worst thing ever, of course. I understand why that happens, but for some reason, it pisses me off so bad. Anyway, there's actually something else kinda important I want to mention, that being the overall amount of content the game has. The open world to me is fun to drive around, but I can understand that people want more out of it. It's not all that convenient to do the open world challenges, and you have to go out of your way to look for them. You might say that's the point, that the game is all about exploring, but I just find it kinda annoying. It's fun to find a piece switch by chance, but then you realize you don't know how many there are, where they are, or if you'll find them all without a guide. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way I do and want to squeeze all they can out of this game. So despite the game feeling so wide and like there's a lot to do, there kind of isn't. I enjoy repetition, but after playing the game for maybe like a week, if even that, the magic kinda wears off. It feels like the game should have way more content to compensate for the price tag it sports. Like I said earlier, the game is great, there's no doubt about that. It must have taken a lot of time and effort to create it, but because there's always a but coming, it's not enough. I'm pretty stubborn about my feelings towards games and by extension, gaming companies. It's a miracle I even got a Switch 2, so buying the MK World and the Switch 2 separately was out of the question. I don't know about you, but $30 extra? In this economy? I could buy like 2 cartons of eggs with that kind of money. Jokes aside, the game definitely doesn't feel worth $80. It doesn't really matter how fun or pretty it is. Knowing my cheap ass, it'd be pretty hard to convince me that a game is worth more than $60, so maybe that plays a part in my distaste for the price. We need DLC. Free DLC, might I add, to get this game even close to being worth the money. I mean, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the base price was $60 and you got 48 tracks to go with it. With the DLC booster pack, you got another 48 tracks for an extra $25. The game's full content comes out to $85, and for $5 more you can get 3 times the amount of tracks of MK World. Also, if you pay for the premium Nintendo Online service, Mario Kart 8's DLC was free. For free! Shiver me timbers! If you got the Switch 2 and MK World bundle, you get about 30 tracks for $50 compared to 8's 48 tracks for $60. This is assuming you didn't buy the game by itself, which is definitely not worth it. We need more. Something like new characters, new tracks, new things to do in the open world. Anything would suffice. No offense, but Nintendo fans eat up anything. I'm sure if Nintendo added something new and exciting, fans would probably forget about the game's flaws. Maybe not the best thing to say considering I'm a Sonic fan. I guess the idea that we might get a DLC gives me hope, but knowing Nintendo, who knows what they're gonna do, honestly. So, despite MK World being more fun than I was anticipating, it's not perfect. With a bit more consideration and thought, the game's flaws would be an afterthought. But like I said, I'm gonna squeeze every ounce of enjoyment I can out of this game, flawed or not. I'm so glad I'm an adult and now if I ask my mom for an $80 game, she can't hit me. I can't even imagine how she would have reacted if I asked her for this game like, let's say 15 years ago. Mommy, I want Mario Kart World.
Nigga, did I just catch you on shit?
Sorry, been wanting to use that joke for a while. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please let me know what you currently think of the game. Oh, or maybe you'd like to play Knockout Tour in a private lobby. That'd be fun. Make sure to like and subscribe if you feel compelled to. This is MPG, I'll catch you later. Peace!